suffer a huge monetary loss this year. All his crops have been eaten up or damaged. Do you know who could have done this to the crops? Crop pests. Crop pests are insects, rodents, or other animals that destroy crops. Let's take a look at how some of these pests affect plants, and the steps farmers take to prevent them from damaging their crops. Any living being which destroys crops or reduces their quality is called a crop pest. Can you name some insects, rodents, and other animals which destroy crops? Animals such as rabbits, birds such as swallows and woodpeckers, insects such as aphids, grasshoppers, caterpillars, and beetles, and rodents such as squirrels, mice, skunks, and raccoons are some commonly found crop pests. These pests generally destroy crops in three ways. One means of destruction is injury of the roots, stem, or leaves of the plant. Beetles and caterpillars feed on the leaves of plants, while cutworms chew on the stems of young plants very close to the ground and topple them over. The larvae of flies make their homes at the bases of plants and eat the plant's roots. They are hence called root maggots. Some insects, like the leaf hoppers, suck the cell sap from different parts of a plant. Another way in which insects destroy plants is by boring into their stem and fruits. The twig borers bore through the leaves, stem, and fruits of plants and destroy them completely. Irrespective of how a crop is destroyed, farmers incur huge losses when their crops are attacked by pests. So they take various precautionary measures to protect their crops from destruction by pests. Can you suggest some ways in which crops can be protected from pests? The methods farmers adopt to keep pests at bay can be chemical or cultural. The chemical method is the method most practiced by farmers. Employing this method, pesticides or insecticides are sprayed over crops before they can start flowering. Pesticides contain harmful chemicals which can affect the health of the farmer spraying them, the environment, and our health as well. To avoid the harmful effects of pesticides, farmers often cover nose and mouth with a mask while using pesticide. Do you know how pesticides affect the environment? After pesticides have been sprayed, the excess either mixes with the soil or flows into nearby water bodies, thus contaminating both the soil and water bodies. Pesticides can affect our health if we consume food crops without washing them. To avoid the harmful effects of pesticides, farmers have started practicing various cultural methods of pest control. They plow their land in summer so that the existing pests are exposed to the harsh summer sun and are destroyed. Farmers practice different cropping patterns such as crop rotation, in which two or more crops are grown in plant succession, or intercropping, where two or more crops are planted in alternating rows. Pests are crop specific, so the growth of more than one crop confuses them, thus reducing the chances of their attacking the crop. Proper irrigation methods and fertilization also help in controlling pests. Appropriate irrigation and fertilization keep plants healthy. Healthy plants have a higher resistance to pest storage. So, before storage, farmers dry the crop in the sun to remove the excess moisture. The dried crop is then cleaned, filled in gunny bags, and stored in sanitized storeroom. Indian farmers also place neem leaves among stored grains to repel insects.
Concentrating on one subject throughout the day can bore us and tire our brains. So, most often, we switch between subjects to keep our minds alert. Similarly, growing the same crop repeatedly in a field can strip the soil of the nutrients that the crop requires. To avoid this, farmers practice different cropping patterns. Let's take a look at some of these cropping patterns.
Crop rotation is a system in which different types of plants are grown in planned succession. For instance, after the harvest of a wheat crop, pea plants are grown in the same field. Crop rotation helps in maintaining the fertility of soil. Do you know how? As wheat plants grow, they consume a lot of nitrogen from the soil. If another wheat crop is grown immediately after, the nitrogen-deficient soil will lead to a weak crop. So, farmers have to add nitrogenous fertilizers to replenish the lost nitrogen. However, leguminous plants such as peas or beans act as natural nitrogenous fertilizers as they grow. A friendly bacterium called rhizobium resides in the root nodules of these plants. Rhizobium absorbs the nitrogen from the air and converts it into soluble nitrogen compounds. The soluble compounds are used by the plant and absorbed by the soil, thus returning essential nutrients to the soil. Crop rotation also helps in reducing the growth of weeds and pests. Weeds and pests are crop-specific. The rotation of crops breaks the crop cycle, reducing the number of pests, which in turn reduces the need for pesticides.
Mixed cropping, another cropping system, provides the same benefits as those of crop rotation. In mixed cropping, the seeds of two or more complementary crops are mixed together and grown in the same field. Owing to their complementary needs, they do not compete for space, water, and nutrients, but help in improving soil fertility and provide for each other's nutrient demands. Also, if one crop fails, the other crop can compensate for it. Thus, the farmer is saved from suffering a complete loss. A disadvantage of mixed cropping is that the crops cannot be harvested and sold separately. This disadvantage can be overcome by practicing intercropping. In intercropping, seeds are not mixed together, but sown in alternate rows in a field. This allows crops to be harvested, nurtured, and sold separately. Rearing of animals and cultivation of crop together is called mixed farming. Farmers practicing mixed farming grow a variety of crops in their farms. Cows, hens, and pigs are also reared for milk, eggs, and meat. Mixed farms are self-sufficient. Animals are used for various agricultural operations such as plowing, sowing seeds, and so on. Their waste is used as manure in the farms. The remains of harvested crops are used as animal fodder. In this way, all the farm's produce and waste is put to good use.
Milk, meat, eggs, honey, wool. We get all these products from animals. It was in the Neolithic age that man first realized the benefits animals can provide. So, he started domesticating them. Today, a variety of animals are domesticated, nurtured, and reared across the world. Let's learn more about this form of agriculture. Animals are a source of many essential products for us. Most of the milk we consume is obtained from cattle. Poultry is our main source of eggs and meat as well. Fish is the staple diet of most people living along coasts. Honey, made by bees, is used for a variety of purposes. The sweaters and shawls that keep us warm in winter are made from the thick hair of sheep. With the human population constantly on the rise, the demand for these food and non-food products has also increased. The domestication and rearing of animals helps meet this increased demand. The domestication, nurturing, and breeding of animals is known as animal husbandry. While practicing animal husbandry, one needs to ensure that the animals are well cared for by providing proper shelter, food, and protection from diseases. Depending on the animal being reared, the type of shelter varies. However, hygienic conditions should be maintained in all these farms for the well-being of the animals. The right nutrition is provided in the form of healthy food, additional nutrients, and water. Animals are prone to a variety of diseases, so they are vaccinated against most of them. However, if an animal falls prey to a disease, it is isolated from other animals to prevent the spread of the disease. Animal husbandry also involves the breeding and crossbreeding of animals. Do you know why crossbreeding is practiced? Different breeds of animals have different desirable traits. Let's take cows, for example. The red Sindhi breed of cows has a high resistance to diseases, while the Jersey breed produces milk for a long period. So the two animals are crossbred to obtain both these qualities in the calf. Similarly, different breeds of sheep are crossbred to produce stronger sheep with good quality wool. We know that cattle are reared for milk and meat. What is the rearing of cattle called? It is called cattle farming or dairy farming.
Cattle are reared in dairy farms which have well-ventilated roofed sheds. Their food is composed mainly of fiber-rich roughage. Poultry, on the other hand, eat mainly grains and worms. The rearing of poultry for eggs and meat is known as poultry farming. Fish are reared in small ponds. The rearing of fish is called pisciculture. The fish are harvested at the right time and sold in local markets. Bees are also reared by some people. The rearing of bees is called apiculture. Sheep are reared to obtain wool for the production of warm clothes. The rearing of sheep is called sheep farming. Do you know what sericulture is? It is the rearing of silkworms for one of the most sought-after fabrics, silk. Did you know that the silver fox is reared in some parts of the world for its beautiful fur? The rearing of animals for fur is known as fur farming. Take a look at this field. The wheat crop has matured. This is a shop selling wheat grains, which will be used to make a variety of delicious wheat items. Before mature wheat crops reach the stores as beautiful golden grains of wheat, they have to undergo various operations. Do you know what these operations are? The wheat crops have to be harvested, threshed, and winnowed to reveal clean, golden grains of wheat. Let's take a look at the working of these processes. After a crop is mature, it is harvested. Harvesting is the process of gathering a ripened or mature crop. Cereal crops can be harvested manually, or with the help of a machine called a harvester. Manually, cereal crops are harvested either by uprooting them or by cutting them very close to the ground, using a tool with a semicircular blade called a sickle. While harvesting, farmers take special care to separate out the weeds so that they do not mix with the crop and contaminate it. After collecting the crop from the field, the grains have to be separated from the crop. Do you know how this is done? First, the harvested crop is allowed to dry in the sun. The dried crop is then threshed. Threshing is a process of separating the grains from the stalks. It is done manually by either beating the crop or by stamping over it. Farm animals are also used to stamp over the crops to separate out the grain. These days, machines are also being used to thresh crops. After crops are threshed, they still contain some chaff from the stalks. So the threshed crop is winnowed by slowly dropping it from a height to separate out the chaff. These days, a machine called a combine harvester is used to harvest, thresh, and winnow the crops all at once. Can fruits and vegetables be harvested in the same manner as cereal crops? No. Fruits and vegetables have to be harvested very carefully to avoid damage. When ripe and ready for harvest, they are individually picked, cleaned, and placed in clean harvesting baskets. The rotten or damaged fruits and vegetables are separated out to prevent them from spoiling the rest of the produce. The good produce is then washed and dried before storing. Harvested crops cannot be sold or consumed all at once, so they have to be stored for later use. Depending on the type of crop, the method of storage varies. Harvested grains and pulses contain a lot of moisture. Microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi grow rapidly in such moist conditions. So grains and pulses are dried thoroughly in the sun before packing them in gunny bags and storing them in granaries or silos. Even during storage, crops are not safe from attack by pests. So granaries have well-fitted doors and windows to keep insects and rodents away. Granaries are also sprayed with pesticides to destroy existing pests. Some farmers place neem leaves among the grains to prevent pests from destroying them. Do you think fruits and vegetables are stored in a similar way? Fruits and vegetables spoil very fast, especially in warm conditions. So after they are harvested and cleaned, they are stored in cold storage facilities at low temperatures and in high humidity. All fruits and vegetables have a specific storage temperature, so if the storage temperature is too low, they will spoil. To understand how very low temperatures affect the quality of fruits and vegetables, you can try a simple experiment at home. Pick two similar fruits of your choice. Place one in the refrigerator and one in the freezer for one whole day. Take them out the next day and place them in a container. Look at the two fruits after an hour. The one you put in the refrigerator will be in a better condition than the one from the freezer. Almost 90% of the weight of a fruit is made up of water. When placed in a freezer, the water in the fruit expands as it freezes. When the fruit is brought back to room temperature, it shrivels as the frozen water melts.